Last go around of the Builder series, we left off with a finished fiberglass plug, the exact part to be reproduced. Look at that shine. Things were finally reaching a turning point in the build, but everything was about to go south. The plug had been perfected and polished into one slick mix of materials, ready to be engraved in time with a proper fiberglass mold. What seemed like a heavy dose of handiwork up to this point was nothing next to the problem solving to come. I dabbled in bodywork, sprayed paint, and mixed resin just fine up to this point, but truly underestimated the beast that gel coat can be. The next chapter of the build became one problem after another. The old one step forward, 2 steps back. How'd this happen? Inexperience. With no real step-by-step instructions and an attempt to scale down production grade processes into the hand of a single worker, some snags were bound to happen. So, back to this hot mess of a screw-up. Gel coat is a sprayable resin top coat. Mixes and covers like paint, but hardens with a polyester molecular structure. That makes it, and the underlying fiberglass and resin, mesh together as well. The first mishap was underestimating the viscosity of gel coat. It runs thick, molasses thick. The other catch? It kicks, or hardens, in under 10 minutes, unlike any paint out there. 10 minutes into spraying a clogged gel coat mist through a hardware store paint gun, and I was done for. The gel coat kicked inside the gun, which headed straight for the trash. Never mind that loss. The real pain was now the gel coat fogged mold that stood in front of me. Working with all these chemicals meant revolving around time and temperature set times. You have a narrow window to lay your gel coat and an immediate first ply of fiberglass for a flawless lamination. Killing my largest size spray gun meant it would be at least a few days before I could get an even larger tip replacement. One that could hopefully handle the gel coat. In short, this meant the failed fog of gel coat that was on the mold in front of me needed stripped off before anything. Gel coat does kick in a matter of minutes, but it never fully hardens without the completed chemical reaction of the first ply of glass and resin. This meant preparing for a long night of peeling, scraping, and dabbing off all that I could. At least that thick layer of mold release would keep the mere surface of the camper plug intact. Right? Yeah, that didn't work out either. To lay this scrap of a project on even thicker, by the time I had started scraping off the failed gel coat, it hit me. Something was now off with the mold release. My last line of defense against ruining the project for good. The PVA mold release went on splotchy at best. Mistake I later figured out and can share as its own story. At the end of this long, never-ending day of screwballs, screw-ups, and damage control, I had a half-kicked fog of gel coat burned into the surface of my plug. The same plug that was a pristine finish just the day before. It came down to 2 choices. Either scrap the project entirely, or start from square one of surface prep. I'd take a breather, research everything that had failed in depth, even talk with some fiberglass gurus at the local supply. We'd see just what could be done. This far, all I knew was I'd certainly bit off more than I could chew.